River City Ransom was an absolute classic. You can go check out my review of it on my channel if you really want to know my true thoughts on it. It was one of the fathers of the beat-em-up genre along with games like Double Dragon. So when I found out there was a remake of the classic game, I thought I'd give it a try. Little did I know this was a pretty mediocre to trashy game. The development history behind it is a bit odd. It was developed by Million, published by Atlas, and released in 2003. Who is Million, you may ask? Well, in 1996, they acquired the rights to Techno Japan's library after they declared bankruptcy. This pretty much gave them the rights to the Kunio-kun series and Double Dragon. Since then, they have developed such games as the classic known as Double Dragon Neon, GBA, remake of Double Dragon, Super Dodgeball Brawlers, and the game in question known as River City Ransom EX. Everything else has been really only Japan, with them all being pretty much games in the Kunio-kun series. Yes, I know they are working on a new River City Ransom in River City Ransom Underground bite, but compared to the beating into the ground some classic licenses have took, I'm kind of surprised they haven't released more games. Seriously, what were you doing between 1996 and 2001 when you released Double Dragon Advance? Anyway, the plot follows the same structure as the NES Classic, so if you have played the original, then you know how the plot goes by now. I'm surprised they really didn't try to expand off of it, but it's their decision. The graphics are updated, but have taken a bit of a hit. Before we get into it, let's look at the positive parts of it. Characters are made much bigger to deal with how small the GBA screen is. They are also a lot more detailed than before. This is a nice touch that tries to add more of an anime influence to allow not taking away from its charm. Where the game falters is in the size of the levels. Yes, I know they needed to scale back the levels because of the size of the screen, and it was a pretty short game. The problem is that levels now feel tiny and claustrophobic. If you didn't have invisible walls to box you out of places, you can literally see every section of the game in 5 minutes. While true, it does look pretty, it doesn't give you the feel. It does give you the feeling of claustrophobia, where it feels like you're really boxed in a really small area with barely enough room to throw punches and kicks. The audio is fairly well done this time around as well. The music feels untouched and left intact. The only real change is that I feel that they updated the sound chip they used on it to make the song sound better. Even still, it's a classic soundtrack with all the retro sound effects in it. Where the game screws up is in the gameplay. Before anything, I will say this. They did fix a few problems like the frame rate chugging, the lack of enemies on screen, and with how much you would have to grind, they made it a bit easier by giving you more money from fights, and the dragon kick at the start of the game making fights a whole heck of a lot easier. Now, there are a few problems I have with the game. First is that there's no two-player mode. Instead, there's artificial intelligence partner you can give orders to. The problem is that no matter how you order him, he will get you killed more often than not. This is because he will use moves such as the giant swing on enemies around you, blindly run into walls, and simply make you think he's mentally damaged. This can be a big problem when you pin the enemy into a corner and he gets free because he hits you with friendly fire damage. Another problem is that the save feature might as well be worthless. When you save a game and load it up, it starts you back from the beginning with no weapons, with all your stats loaded up and all the moves you fought. You still need to kick the crap out of all the bosses, but still. Now, I know you can probably finish the game in around an hour, but why would you give me a save system that's almost virtually useless? The whole point of saving is that you can boot it up from where you started off from and not have to start the whole damn game again. It really just defeats the purpose of a save feature, and they should have just left the freaking 33 character password in my personal opinion. Probably the biggest problem is that with all the new weapons in the game, I'm pretty sure I thought, the game is broken in your favor. In the original, you were lucky if you cheesed the boss into a corner. In this game, the new weapons give you so much range that you can do it on a regular basis. Specifically, there's like this spear thing that looks like a pencil, and there's like a whip that's twice as long as the freaking one in the original game. This makes all your kick and punch moves virtually useless if the artificial intelligence wasn't mentally damaged. Now, I will say this, not everything is bad. The controls are good, but take a little bit of time to get used to. I like the new moves and items in the game. The problem is that at the end of the day, it has so many annoyances that it's a slap in the face to the original. It uses so many cliches and stuff you could have gotten away with from 1985 that it trips over its own feet, and it's just an okay game. Overall, City Ransom is about as big of a slap in the face in comparison as a box art. Just because you update the license to a classic that you have the rights to, doesn't mean you know what made it good. It's an okay game, and a real shame because it could have been so much more. I give it a 5 out of 10. I'm just hoping that Underground is a much better game as a reboot than this remake was. Well, hopefully it'll be as good as Double Dragon Neon and, you know, not some terrible piece of trash like Double Dragon 2 Wanderers of Fate.